Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating, most complicated, and, yeah, most controversial legends Hollywood has ever produced, Joan Crawford. We're talking about an Oscar-winning icon, a business powerhouse, and a woman whose entire legacy was turned upside down by a scandal. So let's get right into it. I mean, for so many of us, if you say Joan Crawford, that's the image that pops into your head, right? That terrifying scene seared into our collective memory from the movie Mommy Dearest. It's based on the tell-all book by her adopted daughter Christina, and honestly, that depiction of pure rage has pretty much defined Joan Crawford for generations. But here's the thing, can that one single horrifying image really be the whole story? It's kind of overshadowed this incredible life of ambition and, frankly, survival. So how do we even begin to separate the monster from the movie star, the myth from the mother? Well, that's what we're going to try to figure out today as we explore the many, many faces of Joan Crawford. And to really understand the icon, you have to go back, way back to the beginning. Because before she was the glamorous Joan, she was a girl named Lucille LeSueur. And her really tough childhood is what lit the fire that drove her to succeed at all costs. And what a rise it was. I mean, seriously, born into poverty in Texas, Lucille had absolutely nothing going for her except sheer grit. Then, in 1923, she wins a Charleston dance contest. And that's it. That's her ticket out. By 1925, she's in Hollywood. And she has a brand new name, Joan Crawford, which fans actually chose in a contest. In 1928, she becomes the face of the Roaring Twenties in Our Dancing Daughters. And then, just when the industry was ready to write her off completely, she pulls off one of the greatest comebacks ever, winning the Oscar in 1945 for Mildred Pierce. This wasn't luck. It was a relentless, calculated climb to the very top. So at the peak of her fame, Crawford wasn't just another star. She was full-blown Hollywood royalty. And you know what? Her life off-screen was every bit as dramatic as her movies, defined by one epic love affair and one even more epic rivalry. Her personal life was just a wild mix of passion and poison. On one side, you had Clark Gable, the great love of her life. They made 8 movies together, and that scorching chemistry you see on screen, oh, it was 100% real. She called it a glorious affair. But on the other side, you had her legendary, decades-long feud with Bette Davis. All that professional jealousy just exploded on the set of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It all came to a head on Oscar night when Crawford, who wasn't even nominated, schemed to accept the award on behalf of the winner just to steal the spotlight from Bette. Savage. But you know how Hollywood works. It's a tough town. After a few movies flopped, the industry completely turned on her. She got slapped with the label box office poison. And back then, that wasn't just a mean gossip. That was a career death sentence. It was a signal to every studio that you were done. For almost any other actor, that would have been the end. But not for Joan. 1. That's all it took. 1 Oscar. Her performance in Mildred Pierce wasn't just another role. It was a complete resurrection. It was her mic drop moment, silencing every single critic who had counted her out. This was the ultimate I told you so. But Joan's ambition didn't stop with an Oscar. In a move that absolutely stunned Hollywood, she pivoted. She went from the silver screen right into the corporate boardroom and became a serious power player. Okay, here's a wild piece of trivia for you. The next time you're at a Disney park and you get that relentlessly cheerful song stuck in your head, you know the one, well, you can thank Joan Crawford. No, I'm not kidding. The glamorous movie star was actually a key force in getting It's a Small World built. So how on earth did this happen? Well, after she married the CEO of Pepsi, Joan got herself a seat on the board. For the 1964 World's Fair, she personally called up Walt Disney to pitch a Pepsi partnership. At first, a Disney executive actually turned her down flat. But Joan didn't give up. She saw Walt at a party, went right up to him. Turns out he'd never even heard the pitch. He loved it and immediately said yes. Later, when Pepsi suits started mocking the project, it was Joan who defended Disney's team with a beautiful dressing down and made sure it all went forward. So, we've seen the survivor, the Oscar winner, the businesswoman. But now we have to return to that storm, the one that would erupt just after she died and forever change how the world saw her. So, in 1978, just a year after Joan's death, her daughter Christina drops this book, Mommy Dearest. And it wasn't just a book, it was an absolute bombshell. It painted this portrait of one of the world's most glamorous stars as a vicious, abusive, alcoholic mother. It completely shattered her public image and kicked off a debate that is still going on today. And right away, the battle lines were drawn. Christina made these horrific claims of abuse, and her brother, Christopher, backed her up. But then, Joan's twin daughters, Kathy and Cynthia, came out and called the book a great work of fiction. Her first husband, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., said it was not the Joan I knew. Even her longtime secretary, who admitted Joan was super strict, said she never, ever saw any abuse. The truth just became a matter of whose story you chose to believe.
But maybe the most stunning defense came from the absolute last person you'd ever expect, her arch-rival Bette Davis. I mean, think about that. After decades of genuine hatred for each other, even Bette Davis thought the book was a low blow. That tells you something.
The family was just torn in two. Her daughter Kathy's comment pretty much dismisses everything Christina said. It paints this picture of two completely different realities happening under the very same roof. It's a family mystery that, honestly, we'll probably never solve. So, after all that, where are we? We're left with the glamour and the grit, the massive triumphs and the alleged tyranny. To really get a handle on Joan Crawford, you kind of have to accept that people are complicated, and that two totally contradictory things can be true at the exact same time. When you look at her whole life, you see there was never just one Joan Crawford. There was the survivor who clawed her way out of poverty. There was the star, an absolute icon of Hollywood's golden age. There was the businesswoman who held her own in corporate boardrooms. The rival, forever linked with Bette Davis. And then there was the mother, her most famous, and certainly her most controversial role of all. So we're left with this really complicated legacy, right? On the one hand, undeniable talent and ambition. On the other, these incredibly dark allegations of cruelty. And it leaves us with a tough question, one that applies to a lot of famous people. When a star's public life is all glamour and their private life is allegedly a nightmare, how do we choose to remember them? The legend or the monster?